It's the Kink Consultant Podcast, where we're turning up the heat on all things kink and dating, relationships, and pop culture. So close the door, plug in your headphones, and let's get down to it.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Dilly from Life of Dilly. You can find him on Instagram as Life of Dilly. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you are Life of Dilly on Instagram, and I sort of just recently started following you in the last month, and I think that coincides with when you started to do a little bit more kinky content.
I guess a little bit about my story. In 2020, Gary Vaynerchuk talked about, like, you have to be consistent on your content, like post. Everyone's eyes are on TikTok right now. And before, I had an Instagram, like I was still on social media for years. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to create a TikTok account for fun. Like no judgment, no nothing. I was just like, what do I post? Like, what am I, like, I know I work out, drink wine, like what else do I do? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to post like, what have I been doing for a long time? And I actually came to the conclusion, like ever since I was like 13, I've known how to like bounce my pecs up and down. So I just started posting that on TikTok, and the traction just blew up. People started following me from that, and people like wanted to like see more of it. From 2020 on, like I was just consistently posting pretty like funny but relatable, I guess you would say, PG-13 plus style content on TikTok.
Yeah.
Peck popping.
Dilly, did you have competitors in the space? Were there like other pep poppers out there?
Yes, there were. But like I think established myself as like one of like the main people.
I want to see some peck popping.
All right. So I'll just keep it simple. It's just like, you know, a little bit of that, a little bit together. Yeah, it's just a little bit of
like, what are you doing with your body to do that?
People think it's like moving the shoulders, but it's not in the shoulders.
I would think that too.
You have to like focus deep, like in your actual chest, right? Trying to like really use whatever muscles that you can in here to flex, and then I go back and forth. You can go the same time. You can like I can roll them too. Yeah.
Oh wow, the rolling.
The rolling is that you can do the one pop. You can do the alternating pop, the same pop, or you can do like the rolling as well, which is like starting, you flex, but you start from the bottom and it just kind of rolls up. So
there's something sensual about it.
I think that's also where the viewers and the followers came from, because it is something sensual, which I think is one of the reasons why I got banned off TikTok after a couple years. Yeah, I got banned 3 times on TikTok. So
are you back, or are you like done?
I'm like done with TikTok. I'm strictly on Instagram now. Because like with Instagram and TikTok, when you're like putting stuff in there, like when you're putting in like specific words, like if you're gonna put, I don't know, I'm gonna say this, like horny, or if you're gonna put sex, you have to put seg, you have to like type it a different way, right? So it has to be like money sign with like the letter 3 with like 3 G's and a money sign. You can't just type SEX. The algorithm has to know that you're not out there talking about super crazy explicit stuff, so you have to like kind of use your brain a little bit and switch things up.
And then once you get that going, they flag that word, and you need a new word.
Yeah.
That it's just when you're making this type of content, which is PG-13.
You can go to a movie today and they're going to say the same stuff that you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Right. The thing I think they're looking at is they're looking for like, is there actual sexual content being shown? People put stuff in movies all the time. People like write stuff. There's stuff in books. But if there's like actual sexual content being shown, then they're like, okay, we got to. But to go back to what I was saying earlier regarding like the transition of kind of where I'm at today, for a couple months I was doing the TikTok stuff, peck popping, just being super silly, which I still am, creating a lot of silly content. But then it eventually led me to me creating an OnlyFans, which has been pretty fun. Still doing it today, 5 years later, rocking and rolling.
Which, by the way, after seeing a display of what this peck thing is and the rolling, I have no doubt fans were probably asking for it.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I mean,
it was like, do you have an OF? Do you have an OnlyFans?
Well, it mostly started from that. Like the first request I ever got that someone actually wanted to pay me for was like, hey, can you peck pop for 1 minute to this song? And I want to pay you like this right here. And I was like, okay. So it was like Flow Rider, like apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur.
Was this the actual song?
I think Baby Got Back was the first one.
I could see that.
That was the first one. And then just like doing songs like Bad Bunny and all these other people. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. And then I started to get more requests of more things to do, like take your shirt off, do this or that. It kind of just like started growing from there. And yeah, so now I do OnlyFans, and I have been doing it basically like part-time / full-time the last on and on off for like 5 years, and it's been great. OnlyFans definitely gets stigmatized for sure, both on the men and women's side. If you're out there and you're providing for yourself, why not, right? I think a lot of people think that you have to go work some corporate job and do this thing, but like if you're, you know, a guy or a girl who's able to do that and there is money to be made and you know how to promote yourself, because there's definitely a certain way I think a lot of people get OnlyFans and they think that like do everything and like they're just gonna get fans, right? Well, the thing is that what I've seen that works really well with being an OnlyFans creator is you have to have the attention of the content you post on Twitter/X, TikTok, and Instagram, and Reddit's a big one as well. It's the same thing as like owning a business and having and putting out content that's relative to that business. Like for example, if you own a pressure washing company, like you should be posting content out there of like you and some friends, like, hey man, like, you know, you're gonna come out today. It's like, no, I gotta work. Let me show you the work I can do. And then like you make a video where you're like pressure washing this and you're pressure washing the house and you show like before and after. That's where social media has created this opportunity for business people to like really grow their companies by where the attention is. And the attention is literally on people scrolling every single day, watching YouTube videos, Instagram videos, TikTok videos.
How are you getting people to go to your OnlyFans then?
How it kind of created is just the content I create, right? Because it's like, for example, if I go like my explore page and I see a super hot girl and she's just walking like in like a tight dress down the street and she makes a video of just her being seductive, there's a 80% chance that she has an OnlyFans, right? Or if I see a video of like a dude shirtless cutting wood, kind of like doing like being seductive, whatever, like in the woods, like just like chopping wood, I'm like, he for sure has an OnlyFans. There's definitely like telltales of like who has an OnlyFans and who doesn't. And some of the content I've created before is content that's like it spikes people's interest. So like my goal is like this guy is attractive, like I wonder if he shows more, and then that's kind of where I have just like my link tree, which is like in my bio Instagram. They click on that, and then of course, you know, I have Twitter and then my OnlyFans link in there as well. I don't promote it as much. I mean, there's some people who literally post on their story every single day. So I've kind of like transitioned. For years I was just posting like stuff that would really push the OnlyFans. Like I would post content that would be like so seductive in the way that I would push that. But now over the last, which we will kind of, I think, kind of roll into, I've been posting more like relatable, like funny, relatable, sensual content, right? One of the videos that blew up last year that I posted, I think it got like 12 million views or something.
That's insane.
12
million views. What did you do and say in this video?
The video, all it was me walking through the woods at Sequoia National Park. I put like in a script in the video, I said, send this to somebody that you have quote unquote masturbated to. Like, what are you waiting for? Don't do it. And then I just like, you know, because I'd seen videos before of like reels where it's like, send this to somebody that you think is cute. I'm just gonna put a little extra twist on it. And what do you know, like within like 30 days, it had like 2 million views, hundreds and hundreds, even not maybe over 1,000 comments. Because the thing is with Instagram Reels, you're always receiving and always sending reels that are like funny to people.
Yeah.
Right? So I wanted to create something that I think is funny. I've always been like a pretty sexual person, but I wanted to create something that I thought was funny that like people can send to. And what do you know, I had like 4 or 5 very famous porn stars comment on it. I got like I got a lot of traction from that video, and I was like, okay, like I wonder if I can keep doing that. So then I would create content that was like that. Like I would create, which I've been still doing today. Send this video or send this reel to blank if you want to blank, or send this to somebody that you want to blank with like right now, right?
Yes.
So like one I posted about a week ago was another video, same thing. I'm in the woods, and I said, send this to somebody that you would deep throat in the woods right now, and I think it has like 300,000 shares, and I'm pretty sure even the one like the send this to somebody you masturbated to one, I'm pretty sure it was that video. A lot of it, it's honestly like straight guys sending it to like other straight guys as like a joke, right? So I had 2 or 3 of my friends reach out and they're like, dude, one of my good friends sent me your video not knowing it was you.
No way. I love when that happens.
So it's like my best friend, my really good friends, having their friends that I don't know, send it to them of the content that I made, which is pretty funny. The thing about Instagram is it's never really supposed to, and social media as a whole, it's never supposed to be taken too serious. And I've always been someone where I've been pretty silly most of my life.
You want to keep it like easygoing, not like too much intensity or seriousness around it. Sometimes that gets you in trouble though. I've seen some videos with some aggressive comments.
And then one of the most recent ones I created has definitely sparked a little like side-by-side comments, and that video was...
What'd you say? What did you say, Dilly?
I will say it. All
right.
Hey Kinksters, quick question. Have you ever fantasized about taking your dom-sub relationship to the next level? Or maybe you haven't even started yet and you want to know about everything kink. Well, guess what? I have the event for you. Dom Sub Dynamics Virtual Summit. Go grab your free ticket and save the dates, March 31st through April 3rd. The amazing thing is, it doesn't matter what your kink is. If you want to try something new, the experts are going to be covering everything from bondage to hypnosis to power exchange psychology. Go grab your free ticket now. Go to domsubdynamics.com/TKC and check out the show notes. You won't be sorry.
I basically said, there's only 2 things you need to do to keep a man happy. I made the video twice, but the first video I made was you have to make sure that he's fed and you have to make sure that his balls are drained. And that was it. It just like, there's people fighting in my comments going like, oh, I drained his balls for 20 years and he still cheated on me. You know what I mean?
So because it feels personal, because it's like, oh, what's really funny is it's not that you said it. It's like, this is false advice. Or this is like,
well, yeah, it's just like, it's meant to be like silly. I'm not being like, hey, just so you know, if you're not keeping him fed and draining his balls, he will leave you. That's not what I'm saying.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. I actually took the quote from one of my good friends. The way he said it is he says, the 2 things that all men really want in a relationship is they want a partner who is committed. They want a partner that they can come home to after a long day of work or whatever, and it's just like full connection, like not nagging their partner all the time, not doing this. Like they want a partner that is their peace. And then the second part of that is they want a partner that will drain their balls. I think there's an energy out in the world where I think a lot of people, and this kind of relates to kink and all that too, where, I mean, I've talked to people that are like, oh yeah, me and my partner, like we have sex like once every 4 months.
I have clients who come to see me and that is the exact line I get. So yes.
Yeah. So it's like, I think there's definitely...
It's common, unfortunately common.
There's a lot of people who don't really know what is the norm. Like, should they be having sex every single day? Should it be a once a week? I mean, obviously everyone's schedules are different. Every individual person is different too. But that goes into the whole side of like communication, which I think the biggest thing, which I think a lot of people talk about, which I've like seen podcasts and all that regarding like why people don't have sex, is because it's underlining like anger a lot of the times, right? It's like, let's just say husband and wife gets home from work after a long day and he just goes to sit on the couch. Well, the wife is like, hey, I want you to like help me do this or help me do that, or I need help doing this. And the husband's like, I don't want to do that. I had a long day at work. She's upset because she won't help him. And he's like, well, she's nagging me. Basically, he's like, oh, I want to have sex with my wife, but she's upset because she won't help him.
There's a disconnect.
Yes. And a lot of it is that like underlining anger that honestly can be worked through just communicating better. Like how can every day, as you have a main partner, especially in monogamous relationships, is how can you be so brutally honest and so communicative with your partner that you know exactly what your desires, what both your desires are, and how you can both fulfill those.
Which goes back to your very original, like, I guess the second video you made. It's about being each other's piece. If both people are each other's piece, foreplay starts way before the bedroom. And it's in these moments like this where if they were meeting each other and both felt seen, it could move into something a little sexier.
There's a lot of people out there who I think, especially people who maybe have been married for a long time or whatever, who have just been doing the traditional way, who also maybe sometimes they like don't want to have sex because it might be something where like, we're just going to do missionary again. Here we go. Right. Or
it's
just
like
gonna
play it out.
Yeah. It's just like,
sex.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it's going to be 5 minutes of just missionary and it's going to be another task. right? Sex should be something that should be rewarding. It should be fun.
Yeah.
It should be, you should laugh when you're doing it. Like it's a transfer of energy, right? You are literally like the life force of a man, and the energy and the bond of a woman are coming together. There's nothing closer than having sex. Nothing. One person is going inside of another person and is literally like the most closest form of connection that you can be. And I think that if you can communicate like what you want and communicate what you want to give as well, that will just make things way better, but also just more exciting too.
To me, I think it is more exciting because I am not vanilla at all. But what you're describing is people introducing a kink as a way to spice up their sex life, spice it up in the bedroom, which is a totally valid way to explore kink. Is that how you came about kink?
So good question. So I'm glad you asked that. So, because you found me because of the content I've been posting on Instagram. So just to kind of go off of what you're saying, like over the last 5 months, I've been posting like kind of like some, here are 3 phrases to say as a pleasure dom. And then like I was like kind of seductive and saying it and all that. It was just for fun. But that video, like boom, hundreds of thousands of views. I'm like, wow, people are actually interested in this. So I started posting a little bit more. And to be fully honest with you, I mean, there's definitely levels to like kink, and I'm not like anywhere near the top, probably somewhere in the bottom middle, but it
Where the majority of people who are practicing kink are. I think.
I've always just been a basic, I guess you could say, vanilla sexual experiences. Yes, there's maybe a little bit of slapping and a little bit of like picking my partner up, or
like a little bit rough, a little
rough,
manhandly.
Like just trying to be like a dominant person, not like an actual like dom, but be like a dominant person like in the bedroom. And then like late 2023, I started dating this amazing girl. She's incredible. Unfortunately, we're not together anymore, but her story was she used to have this dom in her life. Basically, this dom had like other multiple partners and stuff. As her and I started getting closer and she knew that I was like a more dominant figure, she was like, hey, like I think I want you to basically be my daddy dom, because that was like what her partner was. And I was just like, okay. I didn't really know what that entails or whatever, you know?
You were open, because a lot of people, when they hear the word daddy, like I had someone on the podcast recently, we talked about that daddy word. A lot of people get a little bit squirrely around it, like, oh no, that's quote unquote weird. Did you feel any of that? Were you like, oh,
so
what is that?
The answer to that question is no. It's because of all my fans and followers, which are predominantly gay men. Like they all call me daddy. Like daddy has been something that has been like ingrained to me the last like 4 or 5 years. Daddy has also been something that like I think some girls like they gravitate towards in the bedroom if like they
100%.
If they have a guy who is like dominant with them, who is like someone who is maybe, like you said, like you were saying, manhandling them a little bit, or just treating them with like degradation, but also with respect as well, right? They like that. So
entry level, sometimes it's not daddy, sometimes it's poppy, depending on the culture thing.
Yes.
But I also think it's someone who is making you feel both safe, but also on the edge.
Yes.
And that's what usually brings out the daddy, like me calling somebody daddy.
And do little people know that, like, if a guy was, like, with a girl or whatever, and just like, oh, you're being so good, and they might think they're vanilla, like, that is a form of kink, right? Like, that is a form of kink in itself, right? And I think
that kind of praise. A lot of people enjoy praise, and that can be a praise kink if that's turning you on a little bit more.
And that's basically kind of what my ex-partner basically enjoyed. So over the course of like basically her and I dating, we started to adapt and kind of learn more about that and figure out like what kind of entails being a daddy dom. There's definitely extreme stuff. To be honest, I don't really know. I've kind of seen it out there, but I don't really know. I think like collaring is a big one for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know,
that's like extreme.
Probably
I think there's levels. Yeah, because then there's a collared sub. A collared sub is someone who puts on a collar, and that's sort of almost like a wedding band. Like, we're very connected. This is not coming off.
Yeah.
And then there's like, that medium tier where it's like we're putting a collar on to play in the bedroom.
Yeah. I think collared sub is like what her and I have talked about before, because she like knew people who were, right? Like that is definitely like, if I see someone wearing that in public, whatever, like if you see someone wearing that in public, you're like, oh, someone's just wearing a necklace. But like little do you know, if they're wearing a necklace with like a little something here, like that's kink. Like they have a dom who like I guess you say owns them is the right word?
Yeah, a lot of
Okay,
it, I
yeah.
mean, it's kink is so specific. Like
Yeah.
also for some people, by the way, in kink, daddy is an honorific that has to be earned and people aren't
Yes.
cool with it being said, you know? There are levels to everything.
Yeah.
On the collar conversation though, I only really take it seriously. Well, and it might not be fair, but when you see the full metal ones, I don't
Yeah.
know if you've seen the full metal circles, I'm like, oh, they're really collared because
Yeah.
that's not as much a fashion statement
Okay.
as maybe the other ones. No, you're totally right though.
Okay,
The other ones,
okay.
I'm just like, for me, I only perk up and I'm like, oh, that person's owned if it's a
Yeah.
metal one. That's my own like take on it. All
Okay.
right, you said pleasure dom, daddy dom. Do you identify as both? All right, Kinkster, let's talk about pleasure. Not just mine, yours too. If you're enjoying this episode of The Kink Consultant, I need you to do me a little favor, and I promise it'll feel oh so good. Take a second and give this podcast a 5-star rating. Just imagine your finger sliding all over that 5th star, pressing down, giving it exactly the kind of attention it deserves. Yeah, that's it. And you know what happens when you do? I get all hot and bothered knowing you're out there, showing your appreciation. Plus, every time you leave a review, a naughty little brat somewhere gets that spanking they've been begging for. So be a good listener and tap that star, won't you? Thanks, love. Now let's get back to the fun.
I guess I'll just go out and say I enjoy both. I would say that my old partner I was daddy. She never called me by my first name ever. It was always daddy. And that was something that because we were in a relationship and we had that strong connection, like that was me. I was daddy. No other name, not babe, not anything else. It was just straight daddy. And I loved that. It made our connection and it made our relationship stronger in my sense because it almost gave into like that knowledge, I guess, of like, she's mine.
It was the protector role you held over her, and she's like returned it with the sign of respect of that honorific.
Yeah, exactly. And the love was just like, I knew that this individual loved me because for your partner to like only call your other partner like daddy and that's it, that's pretty heavy. Like you have to, you have to make sure to add in that extra D and the extra Y because dad can sometimes get mixed in there, especially if you have like, let's just say for example, you have in your phone, you have like dad in your phone and then you have like your partner as daddy. But that was never the case. It was my name and her phone was just my name. So unfortunately, there was no time when we were ever at dinner and her dad were at dinner together. And unfortunately, there was no time she was like, hey, daddy, can you pass the salt? And we both went to grab it. There was no time where that happened.
But did she ever call you daddy in an inopportune moment, like around her family or her friends?
Around her friends and family, I don't think so. Maybe around some of her friends, but around her family, no.
When I was dating my ex, in front of my family, sometimes I would accidentally say daddy, but around my sisters, not like my father.
Yeah, which I think she would, but like around her closer family, it was just like babe. Because babe is pretty neutral where you can say that around anybody, basically, right? Or just your regular name.
I have a question, might be a little bit sensitive. Do you think it was harder to get over this breakup because you had the kink element in it?
I mean, even to this day, we've been split now for a couple of months. Like, is there still some love there? Yeah, of course. Like, you can't just get over somebody in a week's time or 1 month's time, right? There definitely is some energy there, personally from my side. But I think the biggest thing to kind of move forward with that, which she actually has told me about, I think her and her previous partner broke up, or even the first time we were going to break up like over a year ago. The biggest thing with like breakups is you have to establish like a no contact rule because that just breeds this trying to happen, right? Instead of like going this way, it just breeds like
you're like still in each other's orbit, and being in each other's orbit is going to make it more painful and more difficult to actually break up, which for at least one of you is always the goal. It's like, we need to split. This needs to be done.
Yeah. And that's where like, even with this relationship, I would say in the last 10 years of my life, I've had 4 main partners, and one of them was when I was like 21. I told this girl, she told me she loved me. I told her I loved her back, and I like actually meant it. I was like, wow. Because there's a feeling when you say you love you to someone or whatever, or someone says they love you, it's just your body, you get those butterflies, you get something because there is something there when they mean it, right? There is that connection. And with her, it's when she told me that she loved me and when we would say it together, our time together was always just, I don't want to say it was like fire because it wasn't like explosive, but it was just it was peace, right? When I was with her, it was like someone at peace, especially because we knew how to separate between a lot of the kink stuff and also just being in the relationship stuff.
Yeah.
Because we did practice a good amount of degradation style play. We did a lot of role play stuff. She was down for whatever. That's what I think created why I think we were so good.
Was role play new to you though? Like, had you done role play before?
No. We only did it like probably 2 or 3 times. There was a time she like got dressed up in this little outfit and we just kind of role played with like patient nurse, I guess.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. And the thing is you have to, going into connection with your partners, you have to try new things, right? And that's where I think people get tired, and people who have sexual disconnection in their relationships is because, here's the thing, like if you eat cheese pizza every day for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, cheese pizza might get a little old.
Probably faster than 20 years, yeah.
But if you start adding like pineapple on it, olives, all these other different toppings, and you start making it different ways, I could be totally just bonkers, but like with relating that to relationships, it's like you can still be with that same person and have that connection, but when you try new things, like trying kink stuff, like role play stuff, trying like maybe having like shower sex, maybe having hot tub sex, maybe like doing oral somewhere fun, right? You're still eating that pizza, you're still eating that, and you're still with that same person, the same analogy, but you're doing all these different things and you're trying all these different toppings and you're making a different way. And it's just, you have to find ways that are breaking that, just like, all right, today we're going to go to the bedroom and we're going to do missionary, you know? So
I love the pizza analogy because you're right. There's so many different things to sprinkle on and change it up while still eating pizza.
Like I kind of said from the beginning, with the kink stuff, I am not somebody that is in that upper echelon. Like I don't really practice BDSM. I don't really practice that stuff. So here, I guess, is what I enjoy. I'll just kind of go straight into it as like a daddy dom, pleasure dom. I love teasing and edging. I also love to be teased and edged. So there is maybe a slight switch in there because I like to give and I also like to receive as well.
Be on the receiving end of some of that play.
Correct.
Yeah.
I would say more on the give side. It's probably like 80-20, but sometimes it's nice to, like, for example, let's just say I'm with a partner. I'm like rubbing them, just a little foreplay. Then I'm also talking with them like, hey, like, is it okay if I like slap your ass? Is it okay if I maybe give you some love taps in the face? Or can I slap your face? If so, like how hard can I do it, right? Like that communication. And then also finding ways like, do you want me to be soft with you or do you want me to be rough with you?
So you're like communicating, staying in communication the whole time. I just have to tell you, I love that you're saying that, because just because you're not into the hardcore BDSM stuff doesn't mean you're skipping that, what we call the negotiation stage of like, is it okay if I do this?
I will say this though, there is something great about the surprise, right? And just let it all out there. And then after that connection, you can then have that, like, as I like to call post-nut clarity, communication. You talk with them and go, hey, what did you like or love that I did? And what did you not like? Because then if you're going to connect again, then that second time you could go like all in on that stuff and then even ask them more, what else do you like?
That's just the fact about during sex, right?
Yeah.
I am the first person who's going to say, get consent, play really ethically like that. But sometimes is pinning someone's hands above their head something you need consent for, It's sort of like, sometimes it's like, as long as you know you're going to be responsible enough to read body language and understand if that's not okay, or communicate in the moment, is this okay?
Exactly. Like, reading body language is like the biggest thing. Read the room, read the environment, read the energy as well. Because then all you're doing with that initial connection, you're drafting up an essay. You're drafting up like, how is this going to look if we do it again? Let's just throw it all out there. Let's just see what we both enjoy. Yeah, let's just have fun. From that first position on, I think it's pretty hard that if you meet someone in public and like you bring them back, you're like, all right, we're going to sit down right now and this is what we're going to go over. And they're like, this person is probably just like, I just want to get into it. Depending on what type of person you are, either you just go into it and then you have that like active communication, so that like the next time you can really make that experience better, more.
Take it to the next level together.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're describing is a very real scenario, but I'm also realizing this is one of the things that I think confuses people the most. Kink doesn't always have to be about sex. So a lot of scene negotiation is all of that foreplay type of stuff that doesn't always even lead to sex. There are jokes that like BDSM people are basically celibate, and that's not true. But the point is, You're describing situations that always include sex, which
True.
is totally fair. Is sex always part of your kink life?
I haven't really fully experienced a lot of kink stuff outside of the bedroom other than like the praise stuff.
You know you don't have to.
Yeah.
Every form of exploration is valid here with consent.
Yep.
Do you want to? Is this something you want, or are you happy with it in the bedroom?
I guess just time will tell, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just exploring more of it. Like I said, where I'm at is I love to be like a daddy dom and like pleasure dom, right? So like I get off on, you know, like more aggressive
degradation side
degradation like, dom stuff, which I could do, but like here's the thing, like I would rather have my partner feel good than be treated lesser than. Like I want to raise you up. I don't really want to put you down. There is some people
What if degradation makes me feel raised up? You saying you're my little slut. What if that turns me on?
I think you have to understand what is it that the partner wants, right? Like,
but also
maybe
turns you on too.
Yeah, because sometimes the truth is maybe you calling your partner that like you're such a good little slut. Maybe that to you down deep, you're like, I don't like calling my partner a slut. You know, like they're fucking so good. Like they're the best. Like you rather have like that side of it than the other. But I mean, the thing is though, is it's not one-sided. Like what do you and what do your partner like to say and hear and do?
Yeah, right? Because it's not sustainable to keep calling someone a slut if that is actually hurting you, the person saying it, and isn't landing authentically.
I'm glad you said this stuff too, because a lot of times there's a big difference between like if you're with somebody in the bedroom, there's a big difference between just going like, oh, you're such a slut, and going, oh, you're my slut. If you're just like calling a partner, whatever your partner, if you're just in the bedroom, you're like, God, you're such a slut. That's a form of just like negative degradation. Those are things that people say in the normal days. Like I remember, you know, in high school, like there's one girl that hooked up with like two of my friends. Oh, she's such a slut.
But it was said in like a mean, harsh way. It wasn't meant in any type of positive framework.
Yes. Whereas in the form of like connection, if your partner's doing like some amazing nasty stuff, you're just like, that's my good little slut right there, right? So like you're saying it as like, it's like the dom ownership part.
Ownership.
Yeah. Yes. Where like you're mine, like you're being so good for me, right? A lot of like the going back into like bringing it personal to prefer like between that situation and not just saying like, yeah, you're a whore. You know what I mean?
And I think what's important is you've just gone through a whole self-reflection about what would make it okay for you to call someone a slut or a whore versus what doesn't make it feel good for you. And then there are some people who enjoy, it's really funny you bring this up because recently I was having sex. I called myself a slut because I do like some degradation like that. And he said, you're my slut. And it was like that ownership thing.
You're like, oh my gosh. Here we go. You're like, and I'm going to just, I'm wide open now. Yeah.
Both things did it for me, but I think the difference was what did it for him, and then that created a connection. Because he was like, let me create a connection here by turning it into something I'm going to enjoy too, and then that became the thing.
And that's the biggest thing for me when it comes down to connection and sexual experience as a whole is the biggest thing is communication. Like some days, like if you're with your partner, let's just say they want to have sex with you, but maybe they had a bad day and all they want to do is connect with you, right? All they want to do is just be loved and praised and treated and cuddled and held, right? What kind of sex do you want? Do you want to be love fucked or do you want to be like fucked? You know?
Something a little more primal.
Right? Okay. So I think with like the difference between like hardcore sex and like love sex, depending on which one you do, there has to be some sort of like introduction into that before you gravitate towards each one. And I think a lot of the times if your partner wants hardcore, but they want to feel connected first, then you have to gravitate towards the love side of it to then get into the hardcore stuff. And then maybe sometimes with the hardcore stuff, you might go into it and they're just like, oh, like I'm having a tough time. I want to be treated a little more softer. Then you kind of switch over to the love stuff and you have a little more kind of compassion around.
And you figure that out through communicating. Yes.
Exactly. Which is the biggest thing all in all is you have to, in any way, shape, or form, whether it's through vanilla or kink related stuff, especially with the kink related stuff, like you have to have that form of communication in every way, shape, and form.
It's going to open it up more, because then when you start, it's like a muscle. You start to use that type of communication. How are we talking about this? All right. And then you get better at talking about it in general. It becomes easier, less awkward.
Yeah. If you withdraw the sex part out of it, if you just go into this thing of like, what do you need today? Like, what do you need? Let's communicate that, right? Don't just shut me off. Communicate with me. And a lot of times, if you have a partner who has just had a rough day and they don't want to talk about it, it's hard for the other person to come in and say, like, they see they're kind of closed off. So they're like, oh, maybe I want to leave them alone. But it's hard to go up to them and be like, hey, like, how can I make this situation better?
What do you need right now?
Exactly.
Sometimes, though, we don't know what we need, and that's where it gets slightly complicated.
Yep.
Also, I'm curious where it is the man coming home and the woman's been taking care of the house all day. Because I don't know any couple. I think I might know one couple that has that dynamic, and most of it is both people are out working, and then they come home and exhaustion comes in.
Exactly. That is definitely, especially both people are working. And I think the biggest thing is like each person is dealing with their own experiences and dealing with their own like troubles.
We all have our struggles every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dealing with their own struggles like in their other lives. And a lot of times when they come home, it's like the last thing you want to do is to take what's out there and then bring it back into your own space. There's a good balance in a relationship. You can leave all the bullshit, your work, whatever, you can leave that out. And when you guys are together, it's together. It's not together like this. Oh, let's go to dinner and let's be like this. Oh, let's sit on the couch and let's do this. It's like, it's this. It's here. I'm no scientist, why I think a lot of divorce rates are through the roof.
But I think they're also better than ever.
True.
But hold on. So, question.
Yes.
You have very interesting views. I'm wondering if you know what your love language is. Because if I had to guess from what you're saying, quality time is really important to you.
Quality time is probably the most important to me.
So that's your love language, both giving and receiving?
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, I would say physical touch was in there. I would say physical touch is still in the top 3. Giving would probably be physical touch. Like, I love giving physical touch.
Yeah.
I actually do love gift giving. I can literally come, like, if if I gave someone a really nice bottle of wine, they're like, dude, this wine is so good. Like, that for me is like, I love that, right? I give someone a gift and they enjoy it. Like, that's definitely up there.
You saw them, you know them. You like nailed it, and there's like reciprocation in that.
Yeah. The other like top one up there, acts of service too. But I think for me, the biggest one that I love receiving is quality time.
You really want that connection of just being together, no phones, not really being distracted. Yeah. Paying attention.
I also love giving words of affirmation, which is like the praise thing on the kink side. But I think like someone saying like, oh, you're a good daddy, that shows in the quality time we're together. You don't need to show me words of affirmation when I am with you. Having quality time is just, that's an act of service in its own right there. You are acting in the part of being with me and doing things with me or whatever, or just like laying in bed together or watching a movie together, whatever, which then goes back into time in the bedroom, right?
Yes, so connecting there.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
That makes sense. You mentioned, and you were so spot on, a lot of people don't realize saying something like good girl it's kink, it's a praise kink. A lot of women might enjoy it and not realize, hey, that's actually something kinky. Can you name like 3 others? I think the pinning the arms that I described, I also think during sex, that's a kinky act that people would never consider kinky because it's common. And like choking goes along with that as well.
I think for me, like you're good girl, another one that I think people like, which I just like saying in general, is I'm so proud of you. I think one of the best compliments you can get from somebody, right?
There's a words of affirmation thing you enjoy. Hearing I'm proud of you.
So that's number 2. Number 3, if we're going to have sex and we're together, like my throat around their neck, eye contact and saying like, are you ready? What else do I enjoy?
What you're describing is taking possession in that way. Okay.
Taking possession, but letting them know like, hey, like, are you ready for this? I'm here for you. If they want to be like rough, it's like, first, connect with that person, understand that like they feel safe and secure with you, and where first you establish a bond with them that you feel safe and secure with this person. Then, when it comes to the next move, if you're with them, being like, hey, are you ready for this? If you're okay with this, if I have your consent, as long as you want it, I'm going to beat you up a little. I promise I'm here for you. Have that safe word. If anything changes, just let me know.
So what we do is we check in kink.
Check in.
Sometimes we'll do like a what's your color? We'll just say that.
okay.
And if they say yellow, it's too hard. And if it's green, it's you can keep going
Yes,
and
yeah.
intensifying. Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's red, which is like, we're absolutely stopping
Stop.
now.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
like to mention that option because it adds the layers and it's a quick way to not have, it's a one word answer. Yellow
Yeah.
tells you everything you need to know. If it's a yellow, it's like, I'll
Yeah.
back off. And then there's
Yeah.
the bratty answer of beige, which means this is full on boring. Like,
Yeah.
please work up to a green or
Yeah.
like,
Damn. Okay. See, this is stuff that I don't know, right? This is like new kink stuff that I just don't know. A lot of times I'll ask as well, like if I'm about to have sex, I'm gonna be like, I'll say, hey, do you want it soft or do you want it hard? So the biggest thing goes all the way back to what we've been saying the whole time is the communication.
yeah, it's like start soft and then go hard. Or, I
Yeah.
thought I wanted it hard. I absolutely
Yeah.
don't want that today. Like,
Yeah.
have these like
Yeah.
conversations.
Sometimes you're gonna like the best part about it is you're gonna laugh. If you can laugh during sex, it's the best part.
It's
right? As
not
long
that,
as you're
like social media. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. You don't need to make it this whole scene. Laughing, smiling, maybe taking a break in between. You just gotta learn how to have fun. It's also like you have to understand like you're not just gonna get into right away.
Yeah, you got to build to it. And that's the other thing. You can't walk in and expect to be the perfect dom, the perfect sub. Aiming for perfection from the get-go is just going to ruin the
Yeah.
entire experience because
Yeah.
all you're going to do is beat yourself up about not getting it right. I know we are at time, but I'm going to give you
Yeah.
one last question. Do you
Yeah.
mention this on a first, second date? Do you just naturally introduce it later? Like when is
So
the
it
right
de-
time to bring this up?
I think with a lot of this stuff, it depends on how connected you are with this person. With my ex, she knew I was like, especially someone like myself, like I do OnlyFans, right?
You're in
like
the space.
I'm in the space. I'm in the space of I could talk about this stuff freely. But I think when it comes down to like the daddy, the good girl, there's not a specific timeline, but it's definitely not a first date thing. It's definitely not
Maybe
hey,
not the daddy thing. Like
Yes.
the specifics. I
Yeah.
want to know on a first date if someone is kinky. Because if there is,
Yeah.
if they are vanilla and they're like, no, I'm not into that. I will never.
Yeah.
I'm not choking a girl.
it depends on the person.
It's
I think it
different
definitely
for
depends.
guys too, though. I don't think
Yeah.
a guy has the same flexibility or ability to bring it up on the first date because men have a lot of pressure on them too of how they need to present.
It's not the norm.
Dilly, I have had the best time chatting. This was so fun. Hope to do it again. Everyone can find Dilly on
Instagram. The Life of Dilly with 2 Y's. I'm on X as well. I don't really post as much on there. My OnlyFans is Throw me a follow, throw me a message if you have any questions regarding any of this stuff. Like, I am more than freely to talk about it. So,
Well, on that note, Dilly, thank you so much for coming on today. Catch
pleasure.
Dilly on Instagram at Life of Dilly, and that's with 2 Y's at the end. We'll put it in the show notes so that people
Awesome.
can find you. All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks so much. Have a good
All
one.
right. See ya.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who might find it interesting. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Email info@thekingconsultant.com. Until next time, keep on kinking on.